listening to the Unleash Greatness podcast with your host, Jonathan Mitchell. The best in personal, emotional, spiritual, and business development.
Well, hello everyone. It is I, Jonathan Mitchell. It is today, Thursday. It is story time. Today I found an interesting article on from markandangel.com. It says 4 short stories that will change the way you think. Very, very cool stuff. So I'm just going to read from there, just some stuff I read from them, which I like a lot. As usual, you can find anything from myself or blogs, articles, podcasts, whatever, coaching at unleashg.com. This is sponsored by naturalmedicinemamas.com for any help with natural or alternative medicine, products, services, that kind of stuff. Go there. They got lots of really good stuff for you to use for anything that may be ailing your life. Again, this is Jonathan Mitchell, Unleash Greatness. Just want to say from my own standpoint, thank you so much for listening in. I hope you enjoy this article as much as I do, and let's get cracking. Thank you so much. All right, you guys, so every week I try to scour. I love inspiring stories and things that can help people, whether that's biographies or just stories I find online that or just help you think differently. And this obviously was one that came and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's from markandangel.com. I'll include the link in the description of the podcast. It's 4 short stories that will change the way you think. So story number 1, I'm going to read through these and just kind of guide you through this from my own thoughts and just read what they have because I love what they have to say. So first one is story number 1, all the difference in the world. Every Sunday morning, it starts out, I take a light jog around the park near my home. There's a lake located in one corner of the park, and each time I jog by the lake, I see the same elderly woman sitting at the water's edge with a small metal cage sitting beside her. This past Sunday, my curiosity got the best of me, so I stopped jogging and walked over to her. As I got closer, I realized the metal cage was in fact a small trap. There were 3 turtles unharmed, slowly walking around the base of the trap. She had a 4th turtle in her lap and was carefully scrubbing with a spongy brush. I said, hey, I see you here every morning. You don't mind my nosiness. I'd love to know what you're doing with these turtles. And the lady smiled and said, I'm cleaning off their shells. Anything on a turtle shell like algae or scum reduces the turtle's ability to absorb heat and impedes its ability to swim. It can corrode and weaken the shell over time. And I just said, that's so nice of you. She went on to say, I spend a couple of hours each Sunday morning relaxing by this lake and helping these little guys out. It's my strange way of making a difference. And I asked, don't most freshwater turtles live their whole lives with algae and scum hanging from their shells? And the lady replied, sadly, they do. Scratched my head and said, well, then, don't you think your time would be better spent doing something else? I mean, if your efforts are kind and all, but if these freshwater turtles are living in lakes around the world, and 99% of these turtles don't have kind people like you to help them clean their shells off, no offense, but what exactly are you trying to accomplish, and how do you think you're making a difference? And the old lady giggled and said, and looked around, and she just said to the girl talking, sweetie, if this little guy could talk, he'd tell you I just made all the difference in the world to him. Moral of the story is you can change the world, maybe not all at once, but one person, one animal, one good deed at a time. Wake up every morning and pretend like all you do is what you make. Everything and anything and all you do makes a difference. Story number 2 is the story and weight of the glass. Once upon a time, a psychology professor walked around on a stage while teaching stress management principles to an auditorium filled with students. As she raised a glass of water, everyone expected it to be a typical glass half empty or glass half full question. Instead, with a smile on her face, the professor asked, how heavy is this glass of water I'm holding? The students shouted out ranges from 8 ounces to a couple of pounds. She replied, from my perspective, the absolute weight of this glass doesn't matter. It all depends on how long I hold it. If I hold it for a minute or 2, it's fairly light. If I hold it for an hour straight, its weight might make my arm ache a little bit. If I hold it for a day straight, my arm will likely cramp and feel completely numb and paralyzed, forcing me to drop the glass on the floor. In each case, the weight of the glass doesn't change, but the longer I hold it, the heavier it feels to me. As the class shook their heads in agreement, she continued, your stress and worries in life are much like the glass of water. Think about them for a while and nothing happens. Think about them for a bit longer and you begin to ache a little bit. Think about them all day long and you'll feel completely numb and paralyzed, incapable of doing anything else until you drop them. The moral is it's important to remember to let go of your stresses and worries no matter what happens during the day. Early in the evening as you can, put all your burdens down. Don't carry them through the night and the next day with you. If you feel the weight of yesterday's stresses, it's a strong sign you need to let the glass down. I'm actually going to jump in here for a second because I want to add something as far as people might be asking, how do you do that? One exercise that I do, I'm a very religious person, and so I believe in God, and so I imagine God literally standing next to my bed next to me, and at nights when I've had a stressful day, I literally imagine all of my negative energy, wherever it may be holding, my stress, anger, disappointment, sadness, grief, whatever I might be holding, and wherever it is in my body, like my chest, my stomach, my legs, my shoulders, I imagine that energy getting sucked out of me and getting put into the bag, and in place of it, putting positive light and health energy inside of me from higher power. So you don't have to do that. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get rid of negative energy. You can go talk to a counselor. You can do a journal. You can type things out. I do that a lot too. It helps. But just remember, the negative energy and negative emotions will stay stuck in you unless you allow them the ability to leave, which again, that's just another energy healing trick to do, is just to let it go and to always replace negative with the positive. Story number 3, to kind of get back on task here, is called shark bait. During a research experiment, a marine biologist placed a shark into a large holding tank and then released several small bait fish into the tank. As you would expect, the shark quickly swam around the tank, attacked, and ate the smaller fish. The marine biologist then inserted a strong piece of clear fiberglass into the tank, creating 2 separate partitions. She then put the shark on one side of the fiberglass and the new set of bait fish on the other. Quickly, the shark attacked. This time, however, the shark slammed into the fiberglass divider and bounced off. Undeterred, the shark kept repeating this behavior every few minutes to no avail. Meanwhile, the bait fish swam around unharmed in the second partition. Eventually, in about an hour into the experiment, the shark gave up. This experiment was repeated several dozen times over the next few weeks. Each time, the shark got less aggressive and made fewer attempts to attack the bait fish, until eventually the shark got tired of hitting the fiberglass divider and simply stopped attacking altogether. The marine biologist then removed the fiberglass divider, but the shark didn't attack. The shark was trained to believe a barrier existed between it and the bait fish, so the bait fish swam around wherever they wanted, free from harm. The moral is, many of us, after experiencing setbacks and failures, emotionally give up and stop trying. Like the shark in the story, we believe that because we are unsuccessful in the past, we will always be unsuccessful. In other words, we continue to see a barrier in our heads when actually no real barrier exists between where we are and where we want to go, like eating fish. Which, if you like fish, that's great, but I'm allergic. Okay, moving on. Story 4, being and breathing. That's what the story's called, sorry, being and breathing. One warm evening many years ago, after spending nearly every waking minute with Angel for 8 straight days, I knew I had to tell her one thing, and it sounds like this is from the website, by the way. Yes, it is. I had to tell her one thing. So late at night, just before she fell asleep, I whispered it in her ear. She smiled, the kind of smile that makes me smile back. She said, "When I'm 75 and I think about my life and what it was like to be young, I hope I can remember this very moment." Several seconds later, she closed her eyes and fell asleep. The room was peaceful, almost silent. All I could hear was the soft purr of her breathing. I stayed awake thinking about the time we spent together and all the choices in our lives and made this moment possible. At some point, I realized that it didn't matter what we'd done or where we'd gone, nor did the future hold any significance. All that mattered was the serenity of the moment, just being with her and breathing with her. The moral is, we must not allow the clock, the calendar, and external pressures to rule our lives and blind us to the fact that each individual moment is a beautiful mystery and a miracle, especially those moments we spend in the presence of a loved one. Really cool stories, you guys. I just hope you can be able to read these if you can. Again, I'll include the website, markandangel.com. Story 1's All the Difference in the World, about talking about the turtles. Story number 2 is Weight of the Glass, allowing yourself to let go of emotions and things stressing you out. Number 3 is it's shark bait, not allowing your beliefs around barriers, what you think you have, hold you back. And number 4 is being and breathing, being willing just to be in the moment with the people, especially those that you love, because those are the moments that you'll be remembering later on. It's not going to be the times in Acapulco or the job you had or whatever else. It's going to be the times you have with people you care about. Thank you again so much for listening in. This is Unleash Greatness. I am Jonathan Mitchell. More tomorrow for Spiel Day. Check it out. Talk soon.